BizQuick podcast hits on the struggles and advantages of being an entrepreneur. It's for anyone who's made the commitment to burn the boats and not look back. Are you a busy entrepreneur or small business owner trying to do it all? Then this podcast is for you. Corey and Julie will take you through the details of building a strong business. Hit the subscribe button and gear up for another episode of BizQuick Podcast.
Welcome to BizQuick. I'm Julie.
And I'm Corey.
And on today's show, we have a repeat guest, Heather Vargo, who is a clinical social worker and a therapist. She's got these, acronyms behind her name, LCSW and MSW. She's back to join us. If you remember, she participated in our limited series that we ran in December of 2020 called You're Not Alone. And Heather reached out to me last week to ask if she could come back on. It's been a year since she's been on almost, and she just wanted to kind of talk about the state of, mental health in our country and talk about how people are crazy. No, she didn't say that. I'm saying that.
People are crazy.
People are crazy. So, Corey.
Yes.
How's your mental health?
Fantastic. How's yours?
Is that what you would have expected me to say?
Yeah.
Mostly good. I, handle pressure a little bit differently than you do. I think we're both aware of that. Correct. So it's not always, it's not always perfect, but it's not bad.
Well, that's good. Not bad is good. Right?
Yeah. I'm not feeling, desperate or suicidal or any of those things.
That's very good.
Right.
I think I would be a fantastic therapist.
I feel like you know why you would be a terrible therapist?
Because I don't talk.
Well, you don't ask questions.
Yeah, exactly.
Ever. It's the weirdest thing. It's like you have no curiosity about anything.
I don't have curiosity about people in general.
I know.
I
want you to be
curious about plenty of things.
I want you to be more curious about me, Corey.
No. That sounded really weird too.
Will
you stop acting so weird today?
I'm not being weird. I feel like, do you not ask me any questions ever because you just know I'm just going to tell you everything?
Yeah, I think that's the way I approach a lot of kind of conversations. Just like, I'm not going to ask you. It's, I guess, the same reason why I'm not on social media. That's like, your business is your business. If you want to tell me, cool, but I'm not going to pry.
I know, but when you don't ask questions about people, it implies you don't care.
But that might be accurate.
That can't be accurate about me.
Yes, not accurate about you, but...
Okay. All right. So, big show today. I think we'll probably dive in with Heather talking about really like the last... it's been almost 2 years now, right? Like, what are we at? Like 18, 19 months of this crap?
Yeah, y'all suck at math. It's been like 10 months since she was on.
No, I mean since the pandemic started.
Yeah, and so it's probably about 19 months.
19 months. I don't suck at math.
Well, you're like, it's been 2 years already. I was like,
right, close to 2 years, I should say, right? So do you think overall as a society, how do you think we're faring from a mental health standpoint, just based on what's happened in the last 2 years? 19 months. I'm sorry. Let me get it, but let me be accurate.
There you go. I think that we are slowly spiraling out of control. And by slowly, I mean quickly spiraling.
So when you say slowly, you really mean the opposite.
Yes, exactly. I think we are spiraling out of control right now.
Yeah, how so?
It's just the divide in the country is just ridiculous right now. Yeah. And it's like very few people can see any kind of middle ground.
Correct.
And it's like it's just a awful way to just run anything, where it's like there's no like if you disagree with me on one thing, we disagree on everything. And I'm like, well, that's not really true. Like there's certain things that, whatever, but like if like people are so self-centered and so closed-minded that I'm going to make a snap judgment about you based upon one particular thing. And now I think I know everything about you, and I either like you or I hate you.
Yeah, it's like you can't have differing opinions, which is interesting. But I have a question. So I have so many thoughts. right now. I hear frequently, like the country was so divided when Donald Trump was president, right? And there was no middle ground on Trump, right? And now we've got Biden in office, and one of the things that he said during the campaign was that he was going to unite the country. And I hear a lot of people say on social media that he's been successful. He has united the country against him. I don't feel like that's true. I feel like the people that were squarely in his camp before they're living in echo chambers, and so they're still squarely in his camp, not seeing the problems with what's happening. And I'm curious for your thoughts on that.
I mean, I think it's on all sides. Everybody, like, there's this divide. Nobody wants to have a conversation with somebody that's not in their camp. So it's just everybody's living in a giant echo chamber right now.
Yeah.
And I'm right. Hey, am I right? Yes, you're right. Everybody's right. Cool. Look at those idiots over there. And then, like, there's no conversation. And everybody who says, oh, well, we're trying to unite or, cross the, no, they're not. They're like, I'm trying to cross the divide so I can make you think like me. And that's not good.
I'm not interested in people thinking like me, but I'm also very resistant to having conversations with people who don't think like me because I don't feel like having an argument.
And that's the problem, is that it's no longer, is it a conversation that's happening, it just turns into an argument.
Yeah.
And because again, and that it's like when it comes to like politics or religion or whatever, there's no sense in having those arguments because you're not going to like automatically just convert a Christian into Muslim or vice versa or whatever, because it's like that's a belief. It's like, a part of who they are. And I think the political world we're living in is turning into that religion where it's just like, this is a part of me. This is the core of who I am. Mm-hmm. You can't change that. Like, no matter how many facts or figures or whatever you throw at somebody, mm-hmm. they're not thinking logically, they're thinking emotionally.
Correct. Unless they're a robot. Do you think that it's bad that I'm kind of actively rooting for a civil war?
I think we just need to, reset it all.
Let's just get on it. Right?
Let's stop just, pussyfooting around here. Yeah. Let's just do it.
Yeah, we're wasting time because it's coming. That's the inevitable. All right. Well, so we're going to bring Heather on and we're going to talk about mental health, and hopefully she's going to have good news in that, she's got a full book of business because so many people are actually reaching out for help that are struggling. But we'll see. I don't actually know the answer to that. And I'm also curious just sort of how she thinks things are going in general. We're going to take a quick break and then we will come back with Heather Vargo.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to the show. We said we were going to have Don Markland on, but we lied because we got lied to twice. Not once, twice. And so we don't know where Don is, but the first time he had to do a last minute reschedule, and this time no idea where he is, which is funny considering we were talking about accountability and his website is Accountability Now. Julie has been waiting for me to use one of those buttons for months.
I'm so simultaneously happy, sad that Don Markland could not make the podcast today because, well, one, I think this allows us to leave Corey Barrier as the reigning champion of sales.
Fact.
And two, we got to use the sad trombones. But also, three, I really was actually looking forward to talking to Don about, why he gives himself the title of, why he's the self-proclaimed best salesman on planet Earth.
No, best sales coach.
Sales coach.
Not salesman.
Oh, sales coach. Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
But he's doing a good job of keeping up of confirming our opinion of coaches in general.
Right on. Right. Which is funny because, we are coaches, but we say straight on our website, we hate coaches and consultants.
Yes.
Yeah. Because, well,
you can clearly just give yourself a title.
Obviously.
And that's the thing that with coaches and consultants in general and we've spoken about this numerous times and written about it as well, that the problem with coaches and consultants is that it requires almost zero if not exactly zero experience, certifications, knowledge, anything. You can just put coach after your name, and now you're a coach.
On every level, though, right? Except
mean,
for maybe like in the NFL or like NBA. But I mean, how do you think they get like coaches in high school and junior high?
Well, exactly. It's like, oh,
it's the English teacher.
Yeah, and then I was just gonna say that it's like the little league coach. Oh, it's Johnny's dad.
Yeah.
Is he qualified to be a coach? Probably not.
Probably not. Do you think Johnny's going to get better treatment?
If he's a better player. And that's the way it should be. We should live in a meritocracy.
Agreement. So, we talked a little bit on the front end about accountability, about coaching, and about that, what it means to hold your clients accountable. What about when you are in business? So let's say that let's continue talking about accountability, and you're not necessarily a coach. Let's say that you're consulting for people, or you have partners, right? So we have experienced this before, where you have partners and they don't follow through. Like, what does accountability? What does good accountability look like to you in terms of dealing with other people, right? So not like you and I, like us holding each other accountable, but the people that we work with, either our clients that we have for that sort of hybrid coaching consulting approach, or like partners that we work with.
I mean, what does it look like from my perspective, or what does it look like in terms of how we hold people accountable?
From your perspective, in terms of when somebody isn't doing what they say they're going to do, or they've committed to do, like, what does it look like for you holding them accountable?
Well, I mean, I think you have to start off with the, innocent until proven guilty approach, because people could have the best intentions, but they're not good at time management or understanding how to balance, their like work-life balance and things like that. So I think that starting off, you want to make sure that you're addressing the right problem. Too often today, we're quick to fix the symptoms and we don't really care about the root cause. And so if somebody's having a problem with accountability, they're not showing up on time, they aren't delivering, you need to figure out why that's happening. Okay. You don't want to just immediately say, okay, we need to fix this problem. It's, are you overcommitting? Do you have too much on your plate? Do you not care about this? Like, I think that, when we were talking on the front end there, we were saying that, a lot of times that we'll be in the middle of a contract with a client and realize that what we're working on isn't what they really need. Mm-hmm. And so, and in that instance, it's, you hire a lot of people, they'll hire people to help with marketing because they think, oh, well, marketing's just going to fix everything. Because as soon as I get that marketing problem fixed, then sales are going to come in and then money's just going to fix all of the other problems, when it's really something like it's a root cause. There's issues with their product, their service, their processes, their foundation, like all sorts of stuff that need to get fixed. And that's the real reason why they're not seeing the success that they want to see.
How much easier is it? I appreciate that answer, because
Thank you.
You're welcome. Because it's, dealing with symptoms it's easier, right? But how much easier is it to figure out the root cause for a client versus figuring it out for ourselves? So for example, we know we can get a lot of traffic to our website, but sometimes we struggle with conversions on some of our courses, right? So is it like, how do we sort of do the analysis to determine, do our courses suck? They don't. Or is it bad sales copy, right? And like, what's the, how do you, if you're being really analytical and not emotional, which is pretty much you all the time, how do you kind of walk through those steps to diagnose what the actual problem is for us versus how you do it for a client? Do you approach it differently? Not
really. So, to break it down for us, so we get traffic to our site through paid ads, but then we have a problem with conversion. So you isolate where the problem is. And so I'm trying to think of an example. I can't with a client that I know that we had recently, but for, again, using ourselves as the example, our ads aren't the problem. The content, the copy in our ads, who we're marketing to, that's not the problem. We're getting a great return on our investment there in terms of people showing up to our website, but there's a disconnect somewhere between that website and the purchase button.
Yeah.
And so for us, and that's where, okay, so we've tried to fix a few things along the way to make it, a smoother experience, fewer clicks, better copy, all of those things. But I don't think that and I don't even know if we're qualified to do this in the sense that we're in the middle of it, and would be an instance where outsourcing is probably a good idea to say, hire somebody. I mean, you could even do A/B testing. You could do secret shoppers. I wasn't the right word, but something along those lines where you pay people to come, go to the website, go through your experience. What do you like? What don't you like?
So some user group testing.
Yeah, group testing, things like that. To find out where we're missing the mark, because again, we know that we can get people to the site, and we know the products are good, and we know there's value in what the people are getting, but that click, and the thing is it could be our copy, it could be that we just don't have that credibility as a business yet. People, they land on our site and they're like, well, I don't really know who these people are, and maybe we need to redirect them to somewhere else, or we've thought, I don't know, a lot of things and that's the thing. When we were talking with Caleb Roach, is the you can look at the numbers, and I think this is before we had him on when we were doing our front half there, but the numbers don't lie. They just tell you whatever they tell you. And so, you can look at that and say, oh, okay, well, we could blame it on copy, but maybe that's not it. Maybe our color scheme sucks and it just turns people off. And there's nothing about our color scheme, our color palette that says buy now.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that could affect that. But we know at least where the problem is.
Right. That's true. And I also was wondering, could the problem be, I have two other ideas, right? And I think this is just a really good time to say, I feel like we're going to get this problem solved very quick, very soon, right? In terms of, because we've got, two really big things going on. One being that we're going to be doing a mastermind with David Breyer on branding and positioning, and that's going to help us tremendously. And the other is that I am working now with Tony Watley and working on just basic business stuff for our business. And that's like a 12-month commitment of coaching with Tony in a mastermind. So I feel like we will get to the bottom of it. And so I have a little bit more, this is unusual for me, I have a little bit more patience than I normally do, where I'm like, we'll get there.
I know, we haven't updated this website in 48 hours.
But I find myself wondering, is it possible that one, we're not selling to the right pain point for people, right? So is it what the offer that we have, and maybe even the sales copy is good, but it's not the pain that the people that are coming to our website are feeling? Or two, is it that there's this really huge oversaturation in online courses? And so we've got to really amp it up. And I often wonder, do we need to increase our prices to make the product seem more valuable? And I don't know the answer to it.
Yeah, and we could spend the entire rest of this podcast talking about that. But yeah, there's that, and that's the thing. When you're having a problem with your business or your personal life, Corey Harris, life coach, it's easy to jump to conclusions as to what the problem is, but realistically, there's probably something driving that's causing that actual problem, and there could be multiple solutions to it. So you have to be open-minded to different approaches, different solutions, and you have to be willing to just to take advice that you might not actually take from other people,
Yeah.
whatever that is. I don't know if that made any sense at all.
No, it absolutely did. I think that, we're going to find out that there's probably a few screws we need to tighten.
Sure.
Does that sound weird?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's certain things that if we're going to go with the building analogy, we gotta nail down a few things, but,
nice job.
and it could be one thing. It could be a combination of things.
Yeah.
And that's, again, people are quick to blame one particular thing. Like, this is the reason that my business is failing. It's because I can't find people. There's nobody in the labor market out there. That's why I can't do my business. It's like, well, there are people out there. The problem is you can't find people to work for you. Mm-hmm. And, why is that? And then you have to dive into that. Like, is it because of your culture? Is it because of the pay? Is it because of the industry, the location?
Are you a crappy leader?
Are you a crappy? Yeah, all of those things need to be considered. But it's easy just to place the blame on the obvious, like, again, the symptom, when it's probably not that.
It's probably not that. It's probably something a little bit different. Yeah. So that, when you're, and that also circles back to accountability, right? And finding what the actual problem is, and then being accountable for your role in it, and in causing it, and in the solution to it.
Yeah. And I think that feedback, being able to receive feedback without taking it personally, especially when it comes to your business, is so critical, because it's hard to receive personal feedback without taking it personally, but
I never take feedback
no,
personally.
Not that at all. If there's somebody that has zero emotion on this team,
it's me.
Yes.
What was my Spacey Award?
The most emotional.
Most emotional team member.
Yes.
Yeah, you were biggest bully on the block.
Fact. But and a title that I hold near and dear. So, but yeah, the understanding that, again, when it comes to feedback, it has to. Intent is is an important part of that, because if somebody's giving you feedback because they want you to improve and they're not trying to be hurtful, obviously, like, you can't take that personally. It's, I don't like this about your business, and not because I want you to feel bad about yourself, but because I want you to do better. Mm-hmm. And people, it's hard to give feedback because people take it so seriously. And that's why I love, love and hate, but mostly love online reviews, because you get a more unfiltered view of what your business is. People are going to be a little more honest. Sometimes a little
too honest.
Honest to the point where it's just overkill. Like, you have a bad experience at a restaurant because there's a labor shortage, and you were told well in advance of sitting down that there's a labor shortage, and then you go online and complain about how slow the service is. Yes, you're accurate. The service was slow, but you're just being a dick at that point. But going in and saying, giving an honest review of a business, the customer service experience was great. The interaction online was to be, whatever the service, like, all of those things. To be desired, yeah, exactly. So, and that, where I think people are going to be more willing to give their honest opinion.
Yeah.
Because they don't, people try to avoid that. Like, they avoid confrontation whenever possible, for the most part. Most people do.
But a lot of people really enjoy being sort of these keyboard warriors, right?
Yeah.
Where they're like, let me say all the mean things right now that I can possibly say. But being able to receive feedback, and we ask all of our clients this when we start working with them, is, how are you on getting direct feedback? I think sometimes if we become too close to the clients, and by we, I mean me, it gets a little bit harder to give that direct feedback. But I also have noticed about myself that when I get to the point where I realize that maybe clients start to take advantage of that relationship, I will get direct real fast. Like, I will, that friendship, it gets moved.
Does it sail?
What?
Is the friendship sail?
No, it gets moved to the side real quick, right? Where it's like, yes, we can be friends over here, but right here during this business transaction, like you're going to need to make some adjustments real quick.
Sure.
Or we're going to fire you. Yeah. And, you know, you got to hold people accountable, but I also expect that people will hold us accountable.
You would think so, but then again, like when it comes to like people, they think they're doing you a favor by not telling you bad things, when in fact you need to hear that. Like you do anything, it's impossible to please everybody, and if you do something and it pleases everybody, there's something wrong. Because you take a anything out there. It's like, okay, like, I mean, yes, it's possible to get 5 stars, obviously, on a scale of 1 to 5. Nothing wrong with that. But like realistically, like, was everything perfect?
No.
Exactly. So, and that's where that honest feedback comes in. But then, you know, you look at a company and they've got 1,000 ratings and they're all 5 stars. It's like, there's no way that that every single person was happy with it, their entire transaction.
Exactly. Or, you know, it's almost like when we, as we're getting reviews on Bizquick, and we finally got like a 4-star review, and you were like, oh, thank God. It actually makes us seem more legit, right? Because somebody was like, it was good, but it wasn't perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because this is, you know, a learning experience for us, and we welcome feedback. I mean, anytime that somebody tells us something that they think that we should improve upon, it's not like we're going to jump at it and immediately fix whatever it is, but we'll address it. We'll review it and say, okay, is this something that fits our, you know, that we need to fix, that fits our brand, that fits whatever it is we're trying to deliver.
Yeah.
You know, and that's appreciated. So for anybody out there, if you want to fix something with this podcast, let us know.
Yeah. Let us know.
We would appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah. If you want us to adjust Corey's attitude, yeah.
No, you do not want that to happen, folks. But that's, we're going to have to start wrapping up. We appreciate Don for not showing up, so it gave us a chance to chat and troubleshoot some things about our marketing.
Yeah, about our marketing, our accountability, and now you know that the machine that is SB Pays and Bizquick podcast is on a constant quest of improvement. All right. So thank you, Corey, for showing up for me today.
You're welcome.
I appreciate you. Thanks to our listeners for tuning in. Thank you to Corey Barrier for continuing to be the sales CEO. You are, in our opinion, the greatest sales coach on planet Earth. And everything you need to know about Corey Barrier will be in the show notes.
Sure.
Because who else are we going to promote?
Yeah, we'll plug him in the show notes. If you want to work with us, you can connect with us on social media: LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. We got TikTok going on. Probably remove Twitter from that list. Everything that you would ever need to know about us, for the most part, is on our website, sbpace.com. And if you want to work with us, reach out to us there.
Yeah, and you know what? Subscribe to our podcast, and we would really love it if you would like us, give us a review, do some downloads, and if you're interested in hearing about any topics, go ahead and reach out and let us know.
Don't forget to purchase our book, Seriously Now What? A Small Business Guide to Disaster Preparedness. We've got a digital workbook download available on our website. It was a #1 bestseller on Amazon. And if you've already purchased it, don't forget to rate it and review it and give us some of that honest feedback.
Yeah. I'm Julie.
And I'm Corey.
And this was Bizquick, holding people accountable all across America. All right, welcome back to the show. We've got Heather Vargo with us. Hey, Heather. Nice to see you again.
Hey, Julie. Hey, Corey. Good to be back.
Yeah, it is great to have you. We're just going to dive straight into the deep end of the pool. How is the mental health of America? You're responsible for it, Heather.
Oh my gosh, if only that would keep me up at night. It's in flux, I think. You know, I think there's a lot of transitions going on. So some are good, some not so good, and a lot in the middle. How are you? Where are things in the entrepreneurial world?
Things are good. We are busy, which, you know, we love to be able to say that. And there certainly is a lot of pressure, though I think Corey would say most of the pressure that I feel is self-inflicted.
Yeah, it's internal.
I think you know me well enough, Heather, to know that's probably a true statement.
Yeah, things are busy, definitely for me too. That's for sure. Yeah.
So when you say like the mental state of the country's in flux, is this overall for the better or for the worse? Because I think that we're spiraling. I can't say that word today for some reason.
You can't ever say
spiraling out of control here.
Yeah, we were talking about that a little bit before we got recording, and I see a little bit of that. I see a lot of people struggling just to maintain. So that's kind of what I mean by influx. I feel like there's a lot of people that are maintaining, sometimes a couple steps ahead, sometimes a couple steps behind, but there's not a whole lot of, I don't know, I would say like major growth and feelings of benevolence going on at the moment, I don't think, if that answers your question.
Do you think that collectively Americans have gotten off of the, you know, proverbial, you know, 10-month lounge that happened for most of 2020 and are getting back to normal? Or do you still think there's a lot of people who are living sort of these abnormal lives where they're now, and I can't believe I'm going to say this phrase, that they're now living what they refer to as the new normal, and they're still not really taking care of themselves physically, mentally, emotionally, all those things?
Yeah, I definitely think more the former than the latter. I think people are and were eager to get back to work, to see their friends and families again, to travel, to kind of get back to the way things were. So I think in the majority, yes, are doing that and doing fairly well. I do see a decent chunk, however, I'd say a good 20-25%. That's not so much, but that's pretty typical too with, you know, how we are in our society. Some do very, very well, some a lot maintain, you know, kind of get better days and worse days, and then you have some that it's just a struggle every day. So
well, and like I see it on, like, you know, out on the internet when I'm, you know, browsing around, where it's like it seems like a lot of people have just gotten back to life as usual. You know, you look at football games, you look at restaurants, whatever it is, like people are just going about, like, I mean, by and large, for the most part, like nothing happened, which I think that is the healthy way to do this, is that we made it through it, go back to normal, go back to what you used to do. But there's a ton of people out there still, though, who I think, I mean, they crave like all the negatives that came with it. They love, like, oh, I can't believe people are go out in public and I'm just going to sit at home. And it's like, I know when somebody's depressed, they just like to feed the depression, you know? And it's I think that there's still a lot of that out there, and a lot of people are just using it as an excuse to just, you know, have poor mental health.
Yeah. And if it wasn't this, it would be something else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For them.
Agreed. Yeah. I find it interesting. I feel like there's a lot of things, not a lot, but there's a number of things in my life that have definitely changed as a result of things that are still happening with, you know, this, you know, pandemic, air quotes being used here, right? Like, I used to love travel. I dread traveling now. I don't want to go. I want to avoid it at all costs because I don't want to mask up to sit on an airplane for however many hours and all the crap you have to do to get through security with, you know, being the mask. I'm so over all of it and hate the thought of even having to participate in it on any level. So I can see personally that a lot of areas in my life have been altered as a result. and that I won't go back to what I would consider normal until we really actually get back to normal. And I don't know that we'll ever get there.
Right. So then, just like a lot of businesses have to pivot or adapt or adjust, so do you. If you want to, keep travel as a hobby you enjoy. And, kind of what I think I try to help people do is find a way to navigate that, gets that need met, but isn't too stressful. It's going to be a little stressful. Travel's a little stressful even on a good day, but, it's not too, it's not traumatic, hopefully, right? Like it's worth the effort once you get there, kind of a thing. And like, I think so, trying to find something in the middle. That's one of the things I think that has happened and definitely happens when you see, kind of like this pandemic, or maybe a natural disaster is a good example, or a sudden loss of sorts, like a job or a loved one, is you see kind of people going from kind of one extreme, like, oh, no precautions or no worries, to the total opposite, right? Of what you were describing, Corey, about those people that are living in fear, essentially, and they won't leave their houses. I personally don't really want to leave the country, like you, Julie. I don't think it's worth the effort, but I'm willing to go somewhere, relative, as long as whatever, that kind of thing. So kind of trying to find what's in the middle, and where can I find fulfillment and enjoyment, pleasure, peace in that. Yeah. Because you kind of have to look at the alternative. And for you, not being able to travel may not be a big deal because maybe you've done it a lot and you are over it. You are, and you're lucky. Whereas if you're someone like me who's, going to be an empty nester and has kind of been waiting to get this, you know what I mean? Like, I'm looking forward to doing some traveling, even if I have to mask up, that kind of a thing. So yeah, I think you just have to take it case by case, person by person, kind of, it's more or less when your loved ones live in Seattle and you live in Pennsylvania or whatever, and you need to get on an airplane to go see them. And now we have, a real stressor, a real dilemma, a real obstacle kind of dealing with that.
And yeah, I mean, you brought up a good point about like those people who are living in fear. I mean, they would have found another excuse had it not been for the pandemic to be who and what they are. And I think the pandemic just.
To be fair, though, just because of what Corey, I deal with a lot of trauma, and that's a little different than what I think you might describing, which is maybe more of like dysthymia, which is like a type of depression where people aren't motivated much and they don't enjoy much and they're kind of like meh all the time, right? Whereas trauma, people can be like totally engaged and living life, and then something might trigger them and then they're very much not. And so if you have, anxiety, depression, PTSD, and, say you're already a little anxious where it comes to germs or being in close proximity with people or flying even, right? You have a little anxiety already at that. And then, this just heightens it all, right? It just triggers it and makes it, for some people, I think, some of them even seem like a little irrational, the ones that are so afraid that they don't want to do anything that could put them at risk, rather than what we were talking about, which is maybe more in that gray area. I talk a lot about being comfortable with discomfort, right? Kind of outside that comfort zone. If you want to grow, if you want to push yourself, and that's one way you can do it.
Corey, were you calling me irrational?
No.
Oh, okay.
I was making a comment because Heather said that maybe being a little irrational. I think people are being extremely irrational right now. Just with And they're using it as an excuse, and we see it across the board, whether it's like people emotionally or if it's, you know, if you're trying to do anything in business right now, COVID is still an excuse. Mm-hmm. Oh, well, we can't do that because of COVID. That was 19 fucking months ago. All right, yes. We figured it out. We figured it out. People, quit using it as an excuse.
What businesses are these? Like big companies where there's a lot of rules and stuff? Because like smaller companies, I think you can do what you want, right? I've been seeing people in person since I was vaccinated, you know, going on a year now.
It's supply chain, it's employees, it's,
okay.
you know, all of that stuff. I mean, I've been working with the local government here in Richmond on some things, and like permitting is just out of control. They're like, oh, you know, COVID. And I'm like, no, like you can do, like, there's no reason.
Government. Yeah. I mean, that's definitely slower.
Don't get me started.
Now we've struck a nerve, Heather. Knock it off.
We're not talking politics, though. You told me that. That's not happening.
Oh no, we can talk politics. We can't talk about government and filling out forms.
Yes, local government.
It will change the direction of this podcast in total. But I mean, we can do it.
No, let's keep going forward.
Well, right on. I think I'm curious. Well, it's not. I know. I am curious though, Heather, in terms of, you know, I know. Mental health just in general is it's an important part of being an entrepreneur, is really taking care of your mental health. And we're still, you know, we're 19 months into this, and we still have yet to hear anybody get on, like, authorities in terms, well, I'm not going to even call them authorities, mainstream media, the government. Nobody's talking about the importance of your physical health and your mental health. There's just not a conversation, right?
Well, to be honest, all you need is a vaccine, and then you're physically fit.
Correct, right? Yes. So it's frustrating because there's a solution for a lot of people to significantly reduce their risk that doesn't involve getting a shot of something that really hasn't been vetted that well yet, right? So there's a lot of people who are, I'm not going to call them anti-vaxxers, I'm going to call them vaccine hesitant based on the information that's available today. But we don't ever talk about health, both physical and mental, and what that can do. So I want to hone in on that.
I think that's a really good point.
Especially around entrepreneurs, right? And the hustle is hard for an entrepreneur. And I know, Corey, you're chomping at the bit to say something.
Well, you know, the tinfoil hat engaged everybody. The problem is that sunshine and exercise is free. You can't make money off of it. So why are they going to push it?
Yeah, that's true.
Tinfoil hat disengaged.
I don't even think you need a tinfoil hat for that. I think you're 100% accurate. It's 100% correct. And it's maddening. It's maddening that, you know, with so many, like, restaurants got shut down during COVID, the beginning, but, you know, McDonald's was still open, so you could go get your fast food. That's not healthy. So, like, when are we going to talk about, when are the people that 50% of our country listen to for their information, mainstream media and the government, when are they going to acknowledge that we have a crisis on our hands that isn't actually called COVID-19?
That's a great question. That's, you know, a little out of my scope. I don't really believe a lot of what they say as it is. So even if they do start talking that, it's still good for exposure. I think health, mental health, I think the mind, body, and stress and illness are very, very, very much connected. And I think that our society in general has been missing the mark, well, forever, you know, when it comes to work-life balance, right? When you're talking about, you know, an entrepreneur or an individual or someone, I think, again, you have to look at it case by case. Like, for my mental health, it was better for me to have the vaccine so I could see clients in person safely, with feeling comfortable, being 20 feet apart, outside, mask, whatever, I was willing to do it, than to do this, because this depletes me and drains me. And I'm pointing to the screen, meaning telehealth, You know, I think when you look at a vaccine, I look at it like a tool. You know, like if you're somebody who has depression or ADHD, you might take medication for that. Now, we don't know exactly the long-term health risks of these, but we do know the benefits. And if that's going to improve someone's quality of life now, I do think it could improve their longevity, if not definitely their vitality. And I'm more interested in living life well, you know, and having, you know, good relationships and feeling content and fulfilled than I am about who's right or wrong on this debate or this or that, right? It's more about what's best for me and my situation. And if I am perfectly happy staying at home and I don't need to leave and I am not too isolated or lonely and my health is good, you know, I get outside and then do I need to go into the office and do I need a vaccine to I think that's unfortunate that people can't make those decisions for themselves, you know, that they're kind of being forced to out of fear. I do. Or limited scope in terms of what other options there are. But I feel like that's been the case for so long, especially where mental health is concerned, right? Because we're so focused on here's a script for it, or here's a pill for it, or here's a vaccine. I mean, we've been talking about going outdoor and prevent and socialization, all these things to prevent, you know, to help mitigate stress and depression and things like that. So I think it is just it's just a tool to do that for me, you know, safely.
And the frustrating thing now is I think so much of what's going on isn't actually for like physical safety, it's for show. Like so many people out there like, oh, you know, we're cleaning, you know, every 30 seconds we're cleaning something and everybody has triple masks on and we're all vaccinated and all of that, everything. And it's like, it's for show, but I also think it's because people don't want to get sued because there's going to be a ton of lawsuits, I'm sure, at some point where it's like, oh, I got COVID from your restaurant, so I'm going to sue you now because you weren't.
Absolutely.
You know,
it's theater.
Right? It is.
Yeah.
But so that they can stay open too.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
I mean, it isn't. It's like it's for show in the sense of like I need to check these boxes. You know, like I don't want to risk going out of business, or I don't want to risk, you know, my livelihood or my employees' like so. You know, even though I think this may be a waste of time, energy, effort, resources, whatever, like it's worth it again in the long run because it's going to secure, you know, my livelihood.
Right. So we're making choices based on, like, I don't want to say the wrong reasons, but we're making choices that really in the end aren't choices. Do you want to keep your business open? Yes, then do these things. And if you don't get to keep your business open. That to me is not really a choice. If I want to continue to get paid, then I need my business to be open clearly. And it's very frustrating across the board.
Well, I think when people feel a lack of choice, you know, like they don't have, especially entrepreneurs, right? Like it's kind of why we are. we kind of, I think that's one of the things, you know, that makes people like us more resilient, and that we have been able, because we're used to like having options and making decisions. So when you limit that, you know, I think you take a lot of creativity away. I think, you know, you're dealing with scarcity issues, you know, like it's fear-based and it's a ripple effect. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, it's better. It's going to keep getting better. This is not abnormal given the circumstances, you know.
Yeah.
Just don't fuel the fire. Don't fan the flames.
And it's going to be interesting to see, and, you know, because there's no way to tell, but years to come, because we've got an entire generation that's getting raised, you know, with this pandemic mindset. I mean, I've got a nephew who was born in April of last year, so he's going to know nothing but what life is like in a pandemic, basically, which is just sad. But
and scary. Yeah. Right.
The other sad thing is we have to start wrapping up.
I know. I just want to say one thing, though. For things I believe in strongly, I will fan the flames. Don't care. We'll do it. I'm doing it. I'm standing up for it. And just, I think there are too many people right now who, out of fear, won't stand up. And we need more people to stand up.
Yeah, I guess, I'm all about that too, right? Like I'm all about helping people use their voice, and first identify what they need and then use their voice, right? And if for people who just need to keep their businesses open and need to, go through the motions in order to do that, that's okay, right? Like I think that you don't have to be killing it all the time. Like it's okay to get by until you feel more comfortable, whatever that might be.
Yeah, I would just one more thing, and I know we got to go, but doing, and I want to challenge a little bit which is going to suck because I'm not going to give you a chance to respond to it, Heather. Doing what it takes just to get by I get that from a mental health perspective, and I say yes, that's important because you've got to keep your mental health in check. But doing just enough so that you can sort of keep moving forward and accepting
until it gets better, things,
right.
Things,
but all evidence to the contrary at this point, things aren't going to get better. The government just keeps issuing mandate after mandate after mandate. And at some point, people have to say, fuck it, enough. I'm standing up. We're not doing this anymore. And it's going to take a lot of people to do that. And so that, going by just to get by isn't going to work for very much longer because we're not going to have anything we're not going to have any choices to make if we don't, so people have to make hard choices pretty soon. And I'm so sorry. I needed to say that because it just felt right. So, all right, Corey, I'm handing it over to you. I'm going to stop talking now.
Hard to believe. That's it. Hey, Heather, can you tell everybody how they can get in touch with you?
I feel like I hardly said anything.
Oh, you said a lot. You did. You said a lot.
I feel like I hardly contributed anything. We didn't even talk about the attachment stuff, but maybe we can do that next time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Say what?
How can people get in touch with you?
I don't really want.
Okay.
You don't want people to get in touch with you?
Perfect.
Even better. Is there anything that we can do for you?
What do you mean?
Is there anything? What can we do for you?
No, I'm good. I mean, I would like to get I'd like to educate people more, really is what I want to do.
Would you like to be the official therapist of BizQuick podcast?
I mean, I think you could use it.
When you say you could use it, you mean our listeners. You're not talking about me specifically, right, Heather?
No, if the people you're talking about feel like that, then they could definitely use it. Yeah.
All right. Let's wrap this up, Corey.
Yes, because it's spiraling out of control.
Just like the country.
Yes. All right. Thanks again, Heather, for coming on the show again. And thank you to our listeners. And everything that you need to know about this episode will be in the show notes.
Yeah, and if you want to work with us at sbpace.com, then head on over to our website, sbpace.com. I just realized what I did there. I messed that up. No surprise to Corey. You can also connect with us on social media. We're on LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and we have a YouTube channel. You should check it out. It's amazing.
Don't forget to download and rate this podcast, subscribe, and give us a review. And if you have any topics or you want to be a guest, head on over to sbpace.com and let us know.
We wrote a book. It's called Seriously Now What? A Small Business Guide to Disaster Preparedness. It is a #1 bestseller on Amazon. That's kind of a big deal, just like me and Corey. It has a digital download, and if you already have the book and you haven't already gone to Amazon and rated and reviewed it, stop listening to us right now. We are no longer friends. Go review it or our friendship is over.
That's it for today. I'm Corey.
I'm Julie.
And this was BizQuick. BizQuick?
BizQuick.
Yeah. Helping small businesses across America.